Huh. Guess I'm reviewing movies now. Yeah, sure, why not? I got time for new hobbies. The Super Mario franchise is Nintendo's flagship series, and Mario himself is even the mascot of the overall company. So, what better way to flaunt that than by giving this character his own movie in the year 2023? Now, the Mario series is a video game franchise first and foremost. It started off as one back in the 80s and will probably always be one. And while I've already talked about a couple of Mario's past adventures before, I thought it'd be neat if I took a look at Mario's most recent outing. One that's not even a game, but an actual movie? It's even being co-developed by Illumination, the Minions people. What a grim reality this is, but still very exciting. Now, this project has been a long time coming since we first heard about it in what I believe to be early 2018, which, correct me if I'm wrong on that. But it was only until fall 2021 where we finally got the cast revealed, and fall 2022 where we finally got to see what the actual movie was going to look like, and spring 2023 where the movie finally released in theaters. So, that was a very exciting 5-year long wait. But here we are with the movie now officially out and ready for me to make a full-on review of it. Nintendo's been doing a solid job hyping this movie up with all the trailers that they've been releasing throughout the past several months. Each one easily surpassing the last one and just making the wait for its release more and more painful. But now, after a couple years of waiting patiently for this movie's release, it is now officially out and ready to watch in theaters. And like I said, I thought it'd be neat to share my overall thoughts on the movie for today, discussing the parts that I like, the parts that I'm a bit more critical of, and just seeing whether this movie managed to surpass my expectations or not. Typical review stuff. But before we begin, however, keep in mind that this review is full of spoilers, discussing what I believe to pretty much be the most crucial parts of the overall movie. So if you haven't yet seen it, then yeah, I'd probably suggest coming back to this video once you've done so. But if you have seen the movie, however, stick around. But yeah, just wanted to make a quick spoiler warning before we got into it. And without further ado, let's discuss my thoughts on the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Now, the overall story starts off with Bowser stealing a star in the Ice Kingdom from penguins, then it cuts to Mario and Luigi in Brooklyn. I gotta say, I really like how they introduced the plumbers here. With the commercial here advertising their new plumbing business, then it cuts to them watching it. There's not really anything special about the way they introduced him here, but I thought starting off with the commercial then showing them watching it made for a smart introduction for the brothers, in my opinion. And in this exact scene where the plumbers are introduced, it shows the brothers' old boss, Spike, that guy from Wrecking Crew. Yeah, he's in this movie. He's like this kind of guy that's all like, oh, you guys are pathetic. I can't believe you quit working for me to start your own lame business and all that. And I thought it fit Spike's character well. Then it shows a similar thing later on when the brothers return home with their family. Mainly their dad. But before that, we finally get to see these guys put their plumbing skills to work. They were hired for a specific plumbing job early on in the movie that just so happens to go terribly wrong thanks to a violent dog. And let me just say that for the record, that this scene was the first of many moments throughout this movie that got some laughs out of me. Though while the beginning of the movie was perfectly fine as is, I kinda would've liked to see the brothers take on a couple more jobs that goes terribly wrong. And hell, I honestly wouldn't have minded seeing something like a flashback of some sort back when they used to work for Spike. I think that maybe would have rounded out things a bit more, but as it is, it still made for a solid introduction. But with no hesitation, no time to even think, the brothers notice a plumbing crisis on TV that they think would be perfect to prove all the haters wrong and show that they're legitimate plumbers, so they go down into the sewers and all of a sudden, they get whisked away to the Mushroom Kingdom where the brothers get separated to different parts of the world. And the plot actually takes an interesting approach this time, where instead of Mario, Luigi, and Toad teaming up to rescue Princess Peach from Bowser, Mario this time around teams up with Toad, Princess Peach, and later on in the movie, Donkey Kong, Cranky Kong, and the entire Kong family to save Luigi and the entire Mushroom Kingdom from Bowser. It's always incredibly boring when the plot all the time is just save the princess from Bowser in the games, so seeing Peach have more of a major role in the movie makes for a much better time and just makes me wish Nintendo does this with Peach more throughout the series. But with the plot being about Mario's determination to save his brother and Peach wanting to save her kingdom from Bowser, it gives the characters a good reason for them to embark on their grand adventure. Now, I'm not going to mention every scene in this movie, like Mario meeting Toad, then than the scene that shows them running through Toad Town to get to the castle and talk to Peach and all that. But I will say though that I do really like how they didn't make a single scene drag on for far longer than it should have. Never did I feel like a specific scene overstayed its welcome. It all felt long enough for it to still be enjoyable, but not too long to the point where I was like, alright, can we please move on to the next thing now, which I definitely appreciated. They did a good job ensuring this movie had good pacing. And I probably should have mentioned this earlier, but this is a much more fast-paced movie than I expected. I mean, it's about an hour and a half long, so it's not too long for movie standards, but still long enough for it to still feel like a movie. And I know I'm going to be nitpicking a little bit here, but I feel like if the movie was just a bit longer, it would have given the writers more of an opportunity to introduce more ideas. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's definitely a lot of cool ideas here. I just think if it was a bit longer, it would have allowed for more ideas, or could have even enhanced a few scenes. Like going back to what I was saying before about how maybe it should have shown something like the brothers having 1 or 2 more plumbing jobs, or just showing them spending a bit more time in Brooklyn. Or even again, showing like a flashback scene of them working for Spike or something. I know I'm making this all sound like a much bigger deal than it really is, and it's really not. If anything, I think the movie's length is more so an advantage for it because it helps keep specific scenes from dragging on for too long. I'm just saying that I think if it was just a bit longer, it would have given the writers more of an opportunity to present us with more ideas. Now, visually, it looks absolutely fantastic. Moving on. Okay, fine, I'll go more into detail about this. Man, my new hobby with reviewing movies instead of games is tougher than I thought. Animated movies by this company usually looks very good visually, so it's definitely not surprising that their most recent movie looks just as, if not better, than all the other animated movies that they've made. All the environments here just look so natural and lifelike. Like, it actually looks like a world that you legitimately want to live in because of how vibrant and detailed it all is. And with the set pieces and small little details that are sprinkled about in this world is a definite bonus without a doubt. Even the characters fit in well with their surrounding environments. Now, obviously, because this is a movie adaptation of a game, the characters are going to look different. And if this is your first time seeing the movie designs of these classic characters, it might take some time to warm up to them, but once I did, I found that they did a really good job capturing the style that the in-game versions of these characters hit, which is always nice to see. And I know this is probably one of the most talked about aspects regarding this movie, but I actually didn't really have a problem with the voice acting at all. All the voice actors here delivered a stellar performance and played their respective characters quite well. Even a few of the character voices that I was a bit mixed on before is something that I didn't really have a problem with while watching this movie. Now, humor plays a pivotal role in the world of animated movies, and Super Mario Bros. Is no different. I was definitely expecting to laugh a lot during this movie thanks to the trailers, and thankfully, this movie definitely met my expectations. But I was also expecting there to be a decent amount of jokes and funny scenes that weren't gonna land very well, which the movie was shockingly absent of. Now, there were a few instances throughout this movie that had jokes that didn't really land, or just something I personally didn't really find to be all that funny. But every other instance, however, I found myself laughing constantly at almost every joke the movie threw my way. Whether it was the hilarious montage of Mario struggling to complete his training through the obstacle course, or Donkey Kong and Mario's constant back and forth banters, or even Bowser somehow not knowing the names of his own minions, the Spinies. This movie was surprisingly really good when it came to the funnier moments, and just added to the overall enjoyment in my opinion. Now, it's definitely not a Mario movie without any nods or callbacks to previous Mario games, and the Mario movie is filled with them. We already knew about some of them from the initial trailers, but a lot of the ones that we didn't know about were probably among my favorites. I mean, the giant eel from Super Mario 64, the blue shell towards the end of the Rainbow Road section, Spike from Wrecking Crew. In general, I mean, hell, Bowser is even wearing the same wedding outfit here for his wedding with Princess Peach that he was wearing in Super Mario Odyssey, which, it's nice how a lot of the more recent Mario games are given the attention they deserve in this movie as much as the older ones. And notice how I didn't talk about the music as much when discussing the visuals. Well, that's pretty much because the music here are all renditions of tracks from past Mario games. the flagpole theme, the Super Mario World athletic theme, even Captain Toad's theme is here as well. And then you have tracks that aren't even from mainline games, and hell, some of them are from spin-off games that you would never expect Nintendo to make a reference to, like the DK rap from Donkey Kong 64, the character select screen from Mario Kart 8, and while this isn't really from a game per se, but they even reference the song that played in the intro of the Super Mario Bros. Super Show. Okay, what? Now, there is an original song here, with lyrics actually sung by Bowser in a couple scenes throughout the movie, in an attempt to express his love for Princess Peach. And yes, it's just about as absurd as it is amazing. A major highlight of this movie without a doubt. A lack of fan service is definitely not something that this movie struggles with, and I believe part of the fun with all these references is trying to guess what game it's from. Like, oh, I know that. That's from Super Mario 64. That's from Super Mario 3D World. That's from the Super Mario Bros. Super Show. Yeah, I know, I still don't believe it either. Now you might be wondering, wow, the amount of fan service and references in this movie is incredible. What could go wrong when talking about something like this? I'm glad I asked. Now, obviously, the references are here for people who've been following most of Mario's adventures for a long time, and it's always cool when you look back at previous scenes that you watched beforehand and discover something new from a past Mario game that you didn't catch initially. But if you don't really play a lot of Mario games or don't really know too much about the series, however, then the references here simply won't be anything special. And this kind of leads me to the fact that this movie's appeal is mainly geared towards Mario fans. If you've been a fan of the Mario series for a long time, then you are going to enjoy this movie. There's no denying that. But if you're not, however, I don't know, this will just be another fine Illumination movie, but there probably won't be anything special about it compared to every other movie they've made. That makes it an incredible movie for Mario fans, but for people who couldn't really care less about Mario, then yeah, there's not really anything in this movie that'll change your mind on that. I'm not saying boo-hoo, this movie isn't for you if you're not a fan of Mario. I mean, even if you're someone who's just played like 1 or 2 games or something, you're still going to enjoy it. I mean, I'm sure if I wasn't a huge Mario fan, I'd still probably enjoy the movie. But then again, if you don't really care about Mario or anything like that, then honestly, why are you even watching this movie? I'm asking too many questions that really shouldn't be getting answers, to be honest. So, with all that in mind, does the Super Mario Bros. Movie succeed at what it sets out to accomplish and prove itself to be an enjoyable film overall? Hell yeah, of course it does. I could make another review on this movie if you want me to. Despite the complaints, the Super Mario Bros. Movie exceeded my expectations and made for such a fun and well-designed film that I would honestly go as far as to say maybe the best film adaptation of a video game we have seen yet. And I would even say it's probably the best movie ever made by Illumination to date. It takes everything that everyone loves about the Mario series and crafts a darn good movie out of it. With plenty of incredible moments throughout, like the race on Rainbow Road, stopping the Bonsai Bill from destroying the Mushroom Kingdom with the Tanuki power-up, and even the final battle against Bowser when the brothers have a superstar. There's also a lot of really funny moments throughout, a lot of fun references and callbacks to past Mario adventures, and the personality that these characters possess is really well done, and part of that is due to the solid voice acting throughout. It's not flawless, however. Some scenes, while they thankfully don't outstay their welcome, could have benefited from being just a bit longer and had just a bit more to them. And while I do love all the fan service and callbacks to past Mario games here, it kind of makes up most of the movie and will really only appeal to Mario fans. I mean, it's a Mario movie, of course it will. You still have something very enjoyable, very funny, and very much a film that is well worth your time. I ended up enjoying this movie way more than I thought, and no amount of criticizing is going to change that. And I know for reviews, I usually rate it on a scale of 1 to 5, but because this is a movie, not necessarily a game, I thought it'd be better if I ditched that for today and just flat out told you guys that the Super Mario Bros. Movie is just a really great film overall that is well worth a watch. And I really hope they expand upon the foundation that was laid out here for a potential sequel too. But yeah man, Super Mario Bros., darn fine time. And now that I'm done with that, I thought it'd be fun to explore my new hobby some more of reviewing movies instead of games by watching all movies based off of video games. There's quite a few of them, but I thought if I'm going to review movies instead of games from now on, I have to be legitimate and know everything about them, so wish me luck. So, 3 days later and over 50 movies based off of video games watched, I can now come to the conclusion that they need to make a movie based off of Wii Sports pronto. Yeah, I said it. Man, what have I become? And that's going to wrap up today's video. If you enjoyed the video, then please consider subscribing and checking out my other videos on my channel where you'll find more videos like this one. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.